Hello and welcome to our webinar. My name is Ilyas. I'm the Pathway Program Manager here at SSLC, Sprott Language College. I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe. So today we are hosting UBC Sauder School of Business Diploma in Accounting program, and Celine is here with us representing UBC Dap, and we also have Julian representing Cpa BC, and that is Chartered Professional Accountants, British Columbia. Welcome to you both. How are you doing today?
Great, thanks. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, very good as well. It's a lovely sunny day here in Vancouver. I'm working from home, as you can probably tell. And yeah, like Celine said, thanks for inviting us to speak today.
Thanks for being here. I'm really excited for today's webinar. I'm sure we're going to learn a lot from both of you today. Our prospective students are here, our current students are here, our partners all around the world joining our webinars. And we've been running these webinars since the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic last year in March. And we've been informing our students both in Canada and abroad. So this webinar will be a special one, and I'm sure we're going to learn a lot. So today we have Celine and Julian. They're going to talk about, Julian will start his presentation. He's going to tell us how to become a chartered professional accountant here in BC, perhaps also here in Canada. What does it take to become a CPA and why it's important. He has a presentation, so we'll start with him first, and then we'll move on to Celine, and she's going to talk about UBC Sauder School of Business Diploma in Accounting program, admission requirements, tuition fees, and how can you get into this program, and how it will help you to, eventually earn your certification or your designation as a CPA. So welcome, everyone. If you have any questions, please, you can ask your questions here on the chat box if you're joining us from Crowdcast. We are also live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. So if you are watching us from those platforms, you can also ask your questions there, and my friend Jim can send your type of questions here. So I'll be able to ask your questions to our guests today. You can also just click on the Ask a Question tab on Crowdcast, and we can even invite you live if you're not shy. If you want to come on stage and ask your question live, you can also do so. All right, so why don't we first get to know you guys first, maybe introduce yourselves, and then we'll start with Julian's presentation.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess I'll kick off some introductions then. My name's Julian, as we've mentioned. I'm the Senior Student Recruitment Officer at Cpa BC. That's the Chartered Professional Accountants of British Columbia. My main role is I work with students who are doing post-secondary studies, whether that be a bachelor's degree or a diploma program, advising and inspiring them on their pathway to the profession, so their pathway to the CPA profession overall. CPA is a term that is used not just in Canada, but across the globe, or similar terms such as chartered accountant. So a lot of our guests, wherever they're sort of joining us from, I'm sure will be familiar with similar types of roles in their home countries as well. So yeah, we run a lot of events, a lot of them virtual right now. A little bit more about me. I'm also, I moved here from the United Kingdom. So a lot of people, I imagine, are interested in moving to Canada. And that's something that I did, and something that I would certainly recommend as someone who's made that switch successfully.
Great. And Celine, can we get to know you also?
Yeah, of course. My name is Celine. I'm currently the Assistant Program Leader with the UBC Sauder School of Business, particularly with the Diploma in Accounting program, which we're all here for today, and also with the Continuing Business Studies unit. So my primary role consists of student and program management in all sorts of the business programs in our portfolio. So Diploma in Accounting program, we also assist students who are looking for other professional designations such as project management, chartered financial analysts, all sorts of students from all walks of life. Their primary focus really is adult education and helping students achieve their professional goals. A little bit about me. I've been living in Canada for quite some time, but I did immigrate here from Hong Kong many, many, many years ago. So I've been here pretty much my whole life. Love it here, especially right now. So nice, bright and sunny. It's a fantastic place to be.
Great. All right. Thank you again to you both for being with us today. I guess we can kick off with Julian's presentation, and then if I have any questions, I might interrupt from time to time, and then we'll move on to Celine later on, and we'll leave some time for general questions in the end.
Great. Okay. I'm just bringing up my slide deck.
Perfect.
So you should be seeing that now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can see it.
So I know the main sort of focus today is around UBC Sauder's Diploma in Accounting program, but we do partner on a lot of these presentations because, for a lot of students who are interested in accounting and careers in accounting, the CPA is sort of their end goal after they've maybe finished something like the Diploma in Accounting. So I think I'll try and keep my slides fairly quick today, but it does provide a lot of context for Celine's presentation as well, for those students who are interested in the CPA profession here in BC. So just to give you sort of the national overview of how things look in Canada, I mentioned we are CPA BC. We actually have the national organization, CPA Canada, who oversee everything at the national level. So Ilyas, you were right to assume that everything I say today is true across Canada. So, while I work for CPA BC, promoting the profession in our province, it is a big province. The process is the same across Canada. So whether it be Ontario, whether it be Alberta, or somewhere else in Canada, the process is the same. We are responsible for training and certification of CPA students in British Columbia, as well as the professional development of our members. So a career as a CPA is a career of lifelong learning and development, and it is also a career of ethical processes and supporting the public. Even though that's in accounting and finance, we are still self-regulating. We have a full sort of ethics process as well that our members abide by in their work. So a little bit more about the CPA designation. There's a lot of reasons why students do consider becoming CPAs, and it is a very popular profession. I think mainly with the CPA certification, what it really says to an employer is that you have a certain level of competency, you have a certain skill set, and really you're going to be able to provide value to their organization, regardless of what their organization is. We find that CPAs work in accounting firms, but they also work in accounting and finance teams across the whole economy. So, whether that's someone like a tech company. So, for example, in Vancouver here, we have people like Electronic Arts, we have Amazon opening up new spaces, lots and lots of different tech companies. They all employ CPAs at some level, whether it be in accounting, whether it be in finance, or sometimes we find in other roles as well. So yeah, tech, retail as well. We have a really big sort of retail environment here in Vancouver. Lots of different fashion brands. We have Lululemon, which is probably one of the most well-known ones, and Arc'teryx as well. So, all of them need CPAs at some level. So regardless of what your interests are, whether it be sports, tech, gaming, whatever it might be, there is CPAs there. Accounting, I think, does also lend itself to a certain level of job security. So I think in most countries, this is the case where everyone sees accounting as a pretty safe profession, pretty steady career. And that's true. I think that's really, really true right now, though, especially in the pandemic. In BC, accounting was labeled as an essential service. So it meant that accountants were free to continue their work. And for the most part, actually, they were able to continue their work largely uninterrupted. And actually, when you think about a pandemic, people staying at home, people's way of lives changing, CPAs were actually essential to most organizations. They were essentially managing their income, managing their changing sort of customers, their payroll all being different. lots and lots of different things. So yeah, that expertise that you learn in your studies here in Canada and in the CPA program are very, very useful to a lot of organizations. As well, I do have a little stat about money as well. So just at the bottom there, the average compensation for a CPA in British Columbia is, not British Columbia, in Canada is $141,000 per year. So lots of reasons to become a CPA. It's a pretty well-paying job. It's also a pretty secure job as well. CPAs have a lot of different job titles. I've given you sort of a few suggestions already, but really just to highlight, they work across the whole economy. Whether it be government, whether it be in travel and tourism, whether it be in fashion and retail, whether it be wherever really, they work across the whole economy, and they have lots and lots of different job titles. So it is a really broad career. At some point, you have to like numbers, you have to like accounting, you have to like finance. But in terms of the number of people you can work for and the different ways you can go with it, specialisms-wise, there is a lot to choose from. So it's, I think, broader than a lot of people think. Most people think all CPAs do taxes, all CPAs just work in Excel all day, and nothing could be further from the truth for sure. CPAs are problem solvers, they're leaders, they're business, strategical business leaders. So yeah, lots and lots of different things. Here in BC, the median compensation for a CPA is $108,000. The statistic I showed you before was from Canada, and it was the mean average. So I won't get into all the maths, but this is a lot more representative of what a typical CPA would expect to earn. So $108,000 per year. And I've just got a few sort of little overview of what it looks like around the whole province and some of our major cities, some of our major industries. Also years of experience and salary here, as well as some job titles as well, because that's one of the most common questions I get is, what are the job titles like, and when should I expect to earn a certain salary? And we usually find that in that bottom left corner of the infographic there, it's usually around the sort of 5 to 10 year mark is when people tend to earn that salary. So yeah, somewhere around 5 to 10 years into your career as a CPA, on average, you would expect to earn in six-figure salaries over 100,000, basically. That's not true of everyone, of course. Some people get there faster, some people get there slower. It is just an average, but it gives you a nice idea that it's a good job market here in British Columbia for accountants. And the good news is that that's expected to continue. So the reason I come and do so many of these presentations for different people, and the reason we're looking to get people into the CPA profession is because there is a big demand for them. Employers are really looking for top talents. They are looking for people to come and fill these roles. And we expect that to continue into through the next decade as well. So we are expecting 40,000 new accounting openings until 2028. Through that, I'm not sure. The forecasts will probably be good still, I imagine. But right now, this is a top priority. It's a really good time to consider becoming an accountant in British Columbia. So lots of reasons why you should become a CPA. The next question is, how do you become a CPA? So we have something in Canada called the Professional Education Program, CPA PEP for short, so PEP, PEP. So you'll hear me use that now for the rest of my presentation because it's a lot easier to say.
Okay.
CPA PEP. Really, really basic. There is basically 3 things someone needs to do to become a CPA. I call them the 3 E's. You can see the 3 E's on your screen right now. They are education, exam, and experience. You have to take some education modules. You can see those 6 on the screen, Core 1 through to Capstone 2. Once you've completed those education modules, you have to take an exam. It's a national exam. It's taken across the whole of Canada. It's called the Common Final Exam. And you also have to gain relevant experience in an accounting, finance, or other relevant role. Could be with a number of different employers. There are thousands of different employers that you could complete that with, but you have to gain 30 months of relevant practical experience as well. Very similar to a lot of other countries and how they how accountants gain their certification in other countries as well. So education, exam, experience. Once you have all 3 of those, you can call yourself a CPA, put those letters after your name, put that on your resume, put that on your LinkedIn profile, and obviously it makes you more valuable as a job seeker as well. So that's really, really sort of high level. So how do you get into that program? And this is where we start to sort of touch on where Sauder and their diploma in accounting program come in. So there's two requirements.
Mm-hmm.
One is an undergraduate degree. Okay, to get into the CPA PEP program, you need an undergraduate degree on the left-hand side, to a bachelor's degree in any subject, international or domestic. So common question for me is, I have a degree from maybe India or Brazil or somewhere like that. Does that count? Yes, it does. So long as it is equivalent to a Canadian 4-year degree. So you might have had to have an assessment that tells you that for immigration purposes, for example. So for Canadian immigration. So a lot of students might already be aware if their degree is 4 years, but you have to have a bachelor's degree equivalent to 120 course credits or a Canadian 4-year degree.
So do they have to get their equivalency first, their assessment first, let's say from West, World Education Services?
Yeah, so WES is one of the it's probably this one we usually recommend. They can use other services such as ICES and IQOS.
Sure.
They're okay as well, but yeah, WES is usually the best one for the and I think it's the most popular one as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, WES is fine. You have to get that first, yes.
Okay.
So our assessors can see the equivalency to a Canadian 4-year degree. Yes. Could be in any field of study. Does not have to be business. Does not have to be accounting. So if you have taken, science or arts or something else, whatever it might be, that's okay. All right. The other requirement is on the right-hand side of the presentation here. And it's 14 academic prerequisite courses, okay? So 14 subjects that you must have taken a class in. So that's tough if you haven't taken a business degree and haven't taken those classes before. Luckily, we have a lot of different programs that offer them in BC. Those 14 classes are listed here. So students need to have a knowledge in these areas to gain admission to the CPA Professional Education Program, okay? So I won't go into loads of detail on all of these different areas, but just be aware, all of this is listed on our website. And as I say, lots of schools offer these 14 courses. For example, UBC Dap. So here I've got a screenshot from our transfer credit guide, which is on our website. The 14 areas that we saw on the previous slide are listed in the left. So under CPA preparatory courses down the left. And then we have lots of different schools in the province that offer them. One of the most popular ones is the Diploma in Accounting program that you're going to hear all about shortly. So I won't say too much more on that, but just be aware you get these usually for a degree or something like a post-degree diploma, post-baccalaureate diploma. There are lots of different titles for these programs in British Columbia. So once you've gained the admission requirements, you come into the CPA Professional Education Program. As I said, you have to get the 3 E's: education, exam, experience. Once you have them all, you are a CPA. It usually takes around 2.5 years because the experience is the bit that takes the longest, 2.5 years of experience. So that's the sort of typical timeline. And you can kind of see this as a timeline as well. So you gain your experience as you are completing the education module. So it's kind of a work study training program where you'd be expected to do part-time study alongside full-time work. You don't have to necessarily do that. There is a lot of flexibility built into this program. So do not panic if you think that sounds like it's too much. I won't go into all the details right now on all the different options, but it is a very flexible program. But most people complete it in 2.5 years. Okay.
And Julian, do you only count the experience after students pass the exam, or can they earn this experience beforehand or while they're studying?
Yeah, they can gain the experience before the exam. So as I say, you can imagine this is a timeline, sort of going left to right. They're gaining experience as they complete the education. We do also consider prior experience, so experience that they gained before they entered the program. So, we might have some people on the line who are accountants in their home countries, or they've done a little bit of accounting or finance work. That can potentially count. We do need to assess it at CPA BC. We have to do an assessment to make sure it meets the requirements, but we can potentially count some of the experience they previously gained, whether it was as a student or as a full-time worker Yeah, so there is some allowances made there as well. Yeah, but yeah, I just want to keep it, I guess, high level today. So yeah, but there's a few bits of flexibility for sure in the experience. But yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be Canadian experience.
No,
The
not
whole
necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's another good bit of flexibility. But then the more we sort of go down there, there's a lot more sort of ifs, a lot more buts and conditions and stuff. So it's just something to be aware of, that it's never a guarantee, the experience. It is subject to assessment. Has to be relevant is the key word.
Or is there such thing as, let's say, they've done the courses, the education and the exam, but they don't have the 30 months experience, maybe let's say 15 months. Do they become like CPA in training or something like that, or they don't get the designation until they complete their work experience?
Yeah, they don't get the designation until they have all 3 E's.
Okay.
So they do have to get the experience to become a CPA. You are considered a CPA candidate from the time you enter the professional education program to the time you become a CPA. So you're a CPA candidate. Yeah, in that sort of interim.
Okay, perfect.
No, really good question. Thank you. So at this point, I'm kind of wrapping up to come into the close of my section, but I just wanted to point out that there is a few different administrative bodies that are involved in running this professional education program. So we have CPA BC. We are responsible for the experience requirements. There is also this other school, though, called the CPA Western School of Business, who run the CPA PEP program. Okay, so they are actually responsible for the overall administration. And the only reason I point this out is because some students do get a little bit confused when they see another name and another organization. The CPA Western School of Business run the program for the whole of British Columbia, Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and the Northern Territories, such as the Yukon, the Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. So they have quite a big area that they run this program for. So just to be aware, this is the same school, same program across the whole of Western Canada. So even if you don't end up in BC, there you go. Okay.
So are students able to take, like, let's say they need to take few courses, they can directly take it from CPA online, or like at the school, CPA Western School of Business, or they have to enroll in, they have to take these courses elsewhere, like it can be UBC Dap or other schools where they can get the transfer credits?
Yeah, so you mean the 14 prerequisite courses?
Not necessarily all the 14, but let's say they've taken some credits from school in BC, but they have to complete maybe a few more courses.
Yep,
it's
very common. Yeah.
In that case, they directly take the program or those courses from CPA or the CPA Western School of Business?
Yeah, exactly. You got it.
I see.
Yeah, so the 14 prerequisite courses, there's a lot of schools, post-secondary universities and colleges that offer them. Cpa Profession does also offer them as well. You can see it in the first bullet point. They can be completed through CPA preparatory courses offered by the CPA Western School of Business. Okay. Yeah. So that's a nice option for those people who have maybe already completed most of them and they just need to take 1 or 2 or 3 more. Yeah, the example you gave is perfect.
Okay, then we're going to learn from Celine why students should take it at UBC Dap.
Pretty much, yeah. So yeah, just as a couple of things, just to wrap up. Then we host a lot of our own events throughout the year. So if students want to find out more, I gave a very sort of more brief overview today. If they want to go into more detail, check out the CPA BC events. Our events are open to all, whether they be in British Columbia already or whether they be somewhere else in the world. We try and run events at different times through the day as well to accommodate that. So check out our events online. And if you would like to keep in touch with CPA BC, maybe you are completely sort of sold on this career path already and you really want to find out more, we do have a QR code on the screen where you can sign up for our mailing list as well. So feel free to scan the QR code with your phone. That will take you to our mailing list sign up and you'll be able to keep in touch, find out about all our events and get very well prepared on your pathway to the Chartered Professional Accountant's designation. And that is everything from me. So I'm going to pass it back to you, Ilyas and Celine. I know you have a presentation.
All right. Thank you so much, Julian. It was a great presentation. So let's go to Celine and learn about diploma in accounting and how you can how students can transition to becoming a CPA from there. And let's learn more about the program itself and admission requirements. I already have a question here about the program, about the English language proficiency requirement for this program, etc. So let's see.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll definitely address that later on. Thanks, Ilyas. And thanks, Julian, for the presentation and overview of CPA. Yes, so I'll try to keep this quite quick as a sort of a high-level overview of the program, so we have a little bit of time for questions at the end. So just to give a little bit of background, the UBC Diploma in Accounting program is, I think we've been around for approximately 20 plus years, and it's really a program designed to bridge a student's undergraduate degree into the accounting industry. So specifically, the Cpa Designation here in Canada. I want to say probably most of our students do enroll in our program with the intention of pursuing the Cpa Designation. So today we'll just do a quick overview of UBC Dap. We'll talk a little bit about our program curriculum and then our admission requirements, how you can apply. And then again, we'll try to save some time for questions at the end.
Perfect.
Great. So the key features that we do want to highlight about our program is really our faculty members. So much of our faculty are award-winning instructors, lots of experience working professionally in the accounting industry. Some of our faculty have been directly involved in the development of Cpa PEP, as you heard about earlier from Julian's presentation, or some of them even serve as members of the Cpa Board of Examiners. So in addition to being passionate about teaching, they are able to provide a lot of useful insight for our students as to what to expect in the industry, what you need to know to succeed in your studies. Our programs also offered in a very flexible format, which I'll get into a little bit later on. But essentially, it allows all of our students to be continuously enrolled full-time or part-time and still be able to accommodate perhaps work commitments and adjust their enrollment each term as needed. So all of our students, generally speaking, are expected to complete the program within about 24 months of commencing the program. And again, we'll go into a little bit more detail about as to what that means with respect to the curriculum. In addition to our faculty, another key feature of UBC Dap is really our career development and support. So in one of the introduction videos we saw earlier, we saw a snapshot of our dedicated UBC Dap career coach, Russell Garrett. So he's been working with UBC Dap for about 15 years now. He works with our students in terms of helping them with their career, with resume building, networking, how to approach interviewing, all sorts of career development needs and questions. So as a student, you would be able to schedule one-on-one appointments with them each term, and just to specifically dive into your needs as you navigate your career prospects. He also hosts several career development workshops throughout the year to assist our students with recruiting. Dap students also have access to a lot of different employer networking opportunities throughout the year, whether it be with public practice firms or industry employers. And lastly, once you've completed the program with UBC Dap, as Dap alumni, you'll also have access to the UBC Sauder Alumni Career Network for the rest of your life. And what this means is essentially exclusive access to career development networking opportunities and employment opportunities as well through that channel. So going through our little student demographic, what we have here is sort of a snapshot of our typical class composition. So we have students from all walks of life. You'll see here that the average age is 27. Note that this is just an average age of our students, and our student demographic includes anywhere from fresh grads to older students who are pursuing accounting as a mid-career transition. You also see from the slide here that most of our students don't actually come from a business background. Many of our students are from arts, from sciences, etc., which really speaks to the diversity of our student population. And that diversity is what employers really do value in our UBC Dap students. So you don't need to worry if you don't have a business background. Again, this actually works to your advantage, going back to what our program really is about, which again is designed to bridge the knowledge gap from your undergraduate degree into the accounting industry. Going back here, next slide. So in terms of our program offering and how the program is scheduled, we have 3 intakes annually, and we admit students on a rolling basis throughout the year. So our 3 intakes are January, September, and May. So we do have 15 courses that are offered year-round. And going back a little bit pre-pandemic, historically, all of our classes are offered in person at our UBC Point Grey campus, typically in the weeknights from 6:30 to 9:30. And again, going back to how this allows for flexible scheduling is because most of our classes are offered in the evenings, this allows for students to be able to work during the daytime. Now, historically, we've also had online sections available for a select few of our courses, and there were also courses available throughout our winter terms at our UBC downtown Robson Square campus, which seems to be a bit more of a convenient location for some of our students, depending on where you're located around the Lower Mainland. Now, moving to the global pandemic, obviously we've had to pivot to a full 100% online offering in the past year. So we are committed to a return to campus plan starting September. So we will be resuming in-person classes starting this fall. There will be some online options available as well. And because we've had to pivot fully online, we are committed to providing a pathway for students who started the program online in the past year to also finish the program online. Unfortunately, what this looks like, we don't necessarily know yet. The fall schedule is expected to be finalized mid-July, but just so you sort of have an expectation as to what to expect on our program offerings moving forward. Now, we follow UBC's academic calendar in terms of our course scheduling. So what this means is UBC is divided into 2 sessions, the winter session and the summer session. The winter session is divided into 2 terms. So term 1 from September through December, term 2 from January through April. The summer session, summer term 1 is from May through June, and then this term 2 would be from July to August. So you'll see that the summer session is condensed into 2-month terms versus the regular 4-month terms in the winter sessions. Now, within each of the winter terms, in terms of scheduling purposes, you are able to sort of select the courses, a number of courses that you want to take each term. So you can adjust your courses as needed, depending on your personal and work commitments. Throughout the winter term, you're able to register up to 5 courses for each of the winter terms and up to 3 courses for each of the summer terms. Now, for some of our international students who might need to be enrolled full-time for immigration purposes, what this means is that through the winter terms, you'll need to be registered in at least 3 courses each winter term. And throughout the summer sessions, you'll need to be registered in at least 3 courses between the 2 summer terms. So as an example, what this means is that in the summer session, to maintain full-time enrollment requirements, you can take 1 course in summer term 1 and 2 courses in summer term 2, vice versa, or you can take all 3 courses within one particular summer term.
So I was going to ask this question that you mentioned this for our international students. So minimum courses they need to take is 3 for the fall and winter semesters. But in the summer, you're saying they have to take at least one of the divided semesters, like either from May to June or July to August, and they can take up to 3, but do they have to take 3 in the summer as well, or they can just take 1 or 2?
Yes. So if they do, we don't have a strict, restriction per se. So as long as they are enrolled in at least 1 course throughout the summer session, they're considered continuously enrolled. However, I do recognize that some students do need to be maintained as a full-time student. And what that means is you would need to then be registered in at least 3 courses between the 2 summer terms.
I see. Okay.
Right. And lastly, moving, you'll see there's a little orientation mark here on the slide. So we do host orientation for our new students prior to the start of each of our intakes. And it's a great way to meet fellow students, get some important program information. We typically also bring in 1 or 2 of our previous Dap alumni to speak with our students to talk about their experience in the program. It's a great way to meet fellow alumni and students.
Right.
Now, going into our program curriculum, you would have seen earlier from Julian's earlier presentation with respect to all of the courses that align to the CPA prerequisite course requirements. Now, our select program curriculum, all of our courses do align to this transfer guide. So essentially, by completing all of the courses enrolled in our program, you will meet CPA's entrance requirements. How we split our curriculum is into foundation level courses and senior level courses. You'll see the notation on the side here that 7 of our foundation level courses, if you have completed these courses or eligible courses in a Canadian or a US university within the past 10 years and you've met about a 65% or higher, you can request for exemptions for these foundation level courses at the time of application. And then once you're in the program, in addition to whatever foundation level courses that you'll need to take, you'll need to complete all of the senior level courses listed here to meet program completion requirements for graduation of the diploma credential.
But they can't take the senior level courses without first completing foundation level courses. Is that correct? Like, are they a prerequisite of each other, or?
Yes. So there are prerequisites for each of our courses. So I didn't list them here today because it's quite a long list. So essentially, most of our senior level courses include at least 1 or 2 of our foundation level courses, prerequisite courses.
Sure. Okay.
And Ilyas, I know you had a question with respect to some students who might have completed some accounting courses and might only need to take a select few courses to meet CPA's prerequisite requirements. So to address that with respect to the DAP program, we do have a non-diploma option available, specifically for students in this situation who might only need to take 1 or 2 courses to meet CPA's requirements. They can apply as a non-diploma student through our program and only complete these select courses in our curriculum as well.
Okay, great.
Great. And moving on to our application processes. So how to apply, we do have an online application form that you would need to fill out as your first step. And there are 2 parts to our admission requirements. So the first requirement is that you do need to have completed a 4-year undergraduate degree. And the second piece is an English language proficiency requirement. So for students who have completed an undergraduate degree where the medium of instruction was not English, we do require submission of a standardized English test to meet the English language proficiency requirement. So specifically, this would either be the TOEFL IBT or the Ielts academic. Now, there are grade requirements included as well as part of the admission requirements. So if you have completed your 4-year undergraduate degree, the general guideline we'd be looking at is approximately a 65% or a C+ average in your studies. Now, this serves as a general guideline only. We do recognize that different institutions, different countries may have different grading requirements. So we do review applications independently. But as a general guideline, we'd be looking at about a 65 or C+ average. For some of our students, you'll see an early admission option available. So for students who are maybe in your last term of studies, you're studying at a recognized Canadian or a US post-secondary institution, you could potentially apply for admission at UBC Dap before officially graduating from your program. So what that entails is we would essentially, in addition to your transcript, we would also need a letter of completion from your faculty advisor to confirm that you are expected to graduate.
Okay. Can I just quickly mention something here? So right now, you mentioned about the English language proficiency requirement for this program.
Yes.
I've reached out to UBC Dap if our pathway program can be also recognized as an English language proficiency. So we don't have an agreement yet, but the UBC Dap admissions team is looking into our curriculum, and we might be able to, have an articulation agreement where our students, our international students from our EP program, and that is English for Post-Secondary Education program, might be able to enroll or satisfy the English language proficiency of the UBC Dap program. So we're still working on it. It's not finalized, but we'll let everyone know if that goes through.
Right, yes. And yeah, so this is still under review, but as of right now, with respect to the English proficiency requirement, we currently only accept these published English standardized test scores, TOEFL IBT or the Ielts academic, or if your degree was conferred from an English-speaking university, that would be accepted as your English requirement as well.
Sure.
Right, so once you've submitted your application online, the next step would be to submit official academic documentation. So we do require submission of official documents. So what this means is that it needs to be submitted in sealed and endorsed envelopes by your issuing institution and sent directly to our UBC Dap office. Alternatively, we are also accepting electronic copies of your degrees, certificates, and transcripts, but they do need to be submitted officially. So what this means is that it needs to be submitted directly from your university registrar. And I mentioned earlier that we do have an early admission option. So for students who are in a Canadian or US university and you're in your final term of your undergraduate degree, in addition to your transcripts, you'll also need to arrange for an official letter of completion. Again, either sent directly but in a sealed and endorsed envelope or electronically from your faculty advisor's university email. Right, so in terms of upcoming application deadlines, the current intakes that we are accepting applications for is the upcoming September 2021 entry, January 2021, and May 2022. And we do have the published application deadlines here on the slide. Now, I do have a bracket here saying it is flexible. So what this means is that late applications may be accepted if they are submitted after these published deadlines. However, that's also with the caveat that course registration typically happens 2 months prior to each entry intake. And it is on a first come, first served basis. So if you are planning on applying for September, we do encourage you to submit your application as soon as possible to ensure that you'll be able to register for the select courses that you want once course registration opens in July. Right, so in terms of the fees and expenses associated with the program, first off, there is an application fee that you will be required for submission when you're filling out your online application. In terms of tuition, currently is $665 per course, and we will be having a slight tuition increase as of September, and it'll be increased to $780 Canadian per course. And this tuition is the same for both domestic and international students.
Wow. So for 15 courses, it only costs $11,700. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
For 2 years.
Up to 2 years. So it's very flexible. I think in my experience, most students who are enrolled full-time and they do take the full program curriculum, generally speaking, they take about 16, 17 months to complete the program. You can certainly, of course, stretch it up until 2 years, but it's really flexible up to you.
Okay. And they pay as they go, obviously, right? They pay for the courses that they take in that specific semester.
Yes. So we have an online student portal where students would be able to log in using their student account, and they would submit payment for their tuition for each semester as course registration is open. And
for our international students, so they pay $115 for the application fee. They send everything and they're accepted. Do you require any deposits for the letter of acceptance, or how does that work?
No deposits required. So in terms of, I guess, letter of acceptances for international students, once students accept their offer, we issue a formal letter of acceptance to our students, and this is the document I presume would be used for the immigration purposes to apply for their visas and study permits.
Sure. Okay.
Now, we mentioned tuition earlier. There are also additional costs associated to each course, so specifically textbooks. We averaged it to approximately $150 per course. It really does depend on each course and whatever textbooks that each course uses. And as a UBC Dap student, you are also subject to UBC Student Fees. These are assessed annually directly from our student society. Approximately, it's about $900 annually, and this would include things like your UPass, so this would be the transit pass for students to commute around the Lower Mainland, would include medical insurance, dental insurance. And for students who may already be covered for some of these medical and dental insurances, there are sort of opt-out provisions that they could look into to reduce some of these student fees annually as well.
And I assume they'll have all the privileges like to use the library and other amenities at UBC.
Yeah, exactly. So all of our students can apply for a UBC Student Card, and it was essentially act as your student pass to all of the student resources available on campus.
Right.
We do also offer scholarships in our programs. So for students who do intend on completing the full program curriculum, graduating with the diploma credential, if your admission average is approximately 75% or higher and you demonstrated some type of leadership and community involvement, we strongly encourage you to apply for to receive one of our entrance scholarships. And we have the scholarship application deadlines posted on the slide here. I will also mention that in addition to the entrance scholarships, we do also have a few select scholarships available for students who are currently in the program. So there are additional scholarship opportunities for our current students as well. And lastly, our program, we are eligible for government-funded student loans. So for those of us who might be interested in obtaining additional financial assistance from the government, you can certainly apply for this, and they typically would assess you based on your income, total tuition, and living expenses, etc. Great. So these last slides we typically sort of use as a quick snapshot as to what students can expect in terms of their career in accounting. But Julian did such a great job earlier, sort of providing a little bit more detail about that, so I won't go into too much detail. So what we have here is a really great snapshot of all of the employers who currently employ UBC Dap students. So just to expand a little bit, again, to reiterate what Julian said, it's not just limited to public practice. Many of our employers are from industry, government agencies that hire Dap students as well, see retail, tech, restaurant. And the next slide here is another slide which shows some examples of job titles that UBC Dap alumni currently hold. You'll see that there's, again, lots of possibilities as to what your career might look like. You're not necessarily just restricted to accounting and taxation. You might start off that way, and then you might move towards different types of roles and positions as you progress in your career. And lastly, we usually like to finish off with the final quote from a UBC Dap alumni. So Chris Wong here, he completed a BBA at SFU, Simon Fraser University, and then completed a master's in kinesiology, then worked in the kinesiology field for a little while before going into UBC Dap to pursue a career change into accounting. So again, this really speaks to the diversity of our students, and really the possibilities are limitless. And that brings us to the end of my presentation today. I'll have my contact information up here as well. So feel free to reach out to our admissions team if you do have any questions about our program, and we're happy to help.
All right, so thank you so much. That was a great presentation. So for our international students, if they're planning on becoming an accountant or CPA here in Canada, here in BC, they can definitely enroll in UBC Sauder School of Business Diploma in Accounting program, and they can do that in 2 years as a diploma program, and they can do that for only like about $12,000 for 2 years. And since obviously UBC is a public university, they will be able to apply for post-graduation work permit, and this will give them the chance to, they can start working already part-time during their studies, and while they're enrolled, they register with CPA, and then after they get their PGWPs, they can work towards that 30 months to earn their designation from CPA as a CPA. So it's a great opportunity for international students really who are looking into becoming a chartered professional accountant here in Canada. And I wanted to ask this before. Once they become a CPA in BC, I assume they also become CPA in Canada, so they can practice this wherever they go in Canada. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah. And it's actually a good point to also make that CPA Canada has agreements with accounting organizations across the world. So we do have reciprocal agreements, memorandums of understanding, these types of arrangements where if you qualify as a CPA in Canada, you can potentially qualify as a chartered accountant or a chartered professional accountant in another country, which is, great news for those who are keen to explore careers across the world. And I've certainly met a lot of CPAs who have had some great opportunities, whether it be Europe or whether it be Asia, Australia. The US is very popular as well. I've heard a lot of CPAs who go and work in the Caribbean islands, which sounds amazing
fun
to me. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
like an exchange program.
Yeah, so it's good across Canada, and it's likely good across the world as well.
Great. I've had a few questions here. So one of our prospective students asked, he's hoping to enroll in this program at UBC, at that program, and he asked about the English language proficiency requirements. You already informed us about that, but maybe quickly we can say it was 6.5 in Ielts overall. Ielts, academic Ielts 6.5 overall, right? Do you require any bands less than 6 or something like that, or you just look at the overall?
Yes, exactly. I can just touch into a little bit of detail. So if you are planning on writing either the Ielts academic or the TOEFL IBT, the specific score we are looking for is for the Ielts academic is an overall score of 6.5 with no part less than 6.0.
Okay.
And if you're interested in the TOEFL IBT, we require an overall score of 90. With the specific reading and listening sections requiring at least 22, and then the writing and speaking sections with at least 21.
Okay. There's just another question here. Can this course be taken online? Does UBC Sauder offer online degrees or the diploma program? And you also mentioned this because of COVID-19, it was all online, but going forward, I think from September, right? September onwards, it will go back in person, but you'll also have online options as well.
Yes, yeah. So we are committed to providing an online pathway for students who might have started during the pandemic online for them to be able to finish 100% online. Unfortunately, at this stage, we don't know what this looks like yet as to whether it might be 100% online later on, or if we might have to pull back on some of the online offerings. So this is still sort of up in the air, and we're still working on finalizing the details. Okay.
And so I know that they need to take minimum 3 if they're an international student. So they can just choose any courses offered in that specific semester. So do you usually offer all the courses in that semester, or you just offer like 5 to 10 and students get to choose either 5 or less than 5?
So all of our courses are offered year-round throughout each term. So it's flexible scheduling in a sense that you'll essentially have the full program curriculum to choose from each term, and you would pick and choose provided you've met the prerequisite requirements and there are no scheduling conflicts. But we typically offer all 15 courses throughout each of the winter terms and at least once over the summer terms.
So are these courses offered like as a separate cohort for DAP students, or do they get to take these courses with UBC Sauder students?
Oh, that's a great question. We do get this quite a lot. So all of our DAP Busy courses are restricted to DAP students only. So you'll only be taking courses with fellow DAP students.
And I also got this question earlier from one of my colleagues. Can they transition into or ladder into any other program at UBC after getting the diploma, the DAP diploma? at UBC Sauder School of Business? Like, let's say, move on to Bachelor of Commerce, BCom, or something like that?
This would be quite unusual, I will say. Our program is formally classified as a post-baccalaureate diploma program. So it's unusual for students who've already completed an undergraduate degree to move on to another undergraduate degree. We have had some cases where students might want to pursue some type of master's program after completing our post-baccalaureate diploma program, but this would be subject to whatever master's program they are interested to and what their admission requirements are. I will say that most of our students, again, are enrolled in our program with the intention of pursuing CPA PEP after graduation. So it's a little less common for students to sort of move on to another education program afterwards.
Okay, all right. There was another question here. Can I apply for a scholarship at UBC Sauder as an international student? You also answered that, but maybe we can quickly just touch on that.
Yes, of course. Yeah, so our scholarships are open to both international and domestic students. So if you are certainly interested, I certainly strongly encourage you to apply for our scholarships.
Great. And there's a question here. They've seen our, we have an English for accounting program online. I mean, it's bad. The question is if it's good for learning terms in accounting and prepare, you know, if, let's say, our students are first coming here to learn English, let's say from scratch, I assume it would be good for them to, you know, also sign up to this from our website and start learning maybe some of the terms in accounting.
Yeah, I mean, as part of our admission requirements, we do have an English requirement, which ensures that our students do have a strong level of English proficiency before starting the program. So if you do feel like you need to take select courses or brush up on your English and business acumen prior to starting the program, it's definitely a good choice.
And I think there's a final question here. If students are able to apply for PGWP up to 3 years upon completing the DAP program, and I think as an RCIC, maybe I can answer that on your behalf, but correct me if I'm wrong. If, as long as they get the diploma and it's 2 years in length, they will be able to apply for post-graduation work permit, and that's up to 3 years. We can't say if they're going to get it for 3 years for sure, but it's certainly up to 3 years, and they're certainly eligible to apply for post-graduation work permit.
Yeah, exactly. And I can provide a little bit more context as to what this might entail. So once students graduate or have completed our program, typically upon completion, they can request for something called a program completion letter. And this letter will show specifically the student's program start date and end dates. And they would then include this letter in their postgraduate work permit application.
Yeah,
as I said earlier, we can't necessarily guarantee the duration, and this is entirely up to immigrations.
Right, and yeah, they'll definitely need the completion of studies letter, their transcript and diploma, if they can get it by the time they apply. But certainly they'll need that completion of studies letter to apply for the PGWP. Okay, so that's great. I mean, it's a great option to study at UBC Sauder School of Business Diploma in Accounting program. It's you know, I think it's very reasonable, you know, tuition fee wise, right, for especially for international students, and they'll get to earn all the credits to become a CPA. So it's a great option if they're looking into, you know, perhaps change careers here in BC, or they want to, you know, practice their career. Maybe they've been an accountant or CPA or equivalent to CPA in their home countries, and they want to continue doing that here in Canada, and then eventually immigrate to Canada. So that's a great option. Thank you so much to both of you for being here today. I really appreciate your presence here today. So it was very informative. So thank you. and hopefully we'll be able to send some of our students to your program, and then eventually to CPA. I think I have a quick question here. Would like to make sure if this program duration can be for 2 years on the completion letter. And I think it's totally up to the student, right? They can take this program in 2 years. All they have to do is they have to make sure they are a full-time student in each semester, and that means they take minimum 3 courses. So if they start in September, let's say they take 3 courses there, and then 3 courses in winter, so that's 6, and they take maybe 1 or 2 courses in the summer in one of the summer terms. So that's 8 courses, and then they'll take another 3 in the let's say September 2022, and winter 2023, another 3. So as long as they complete that 15 courses in 2 years time, they'll be pretty much good to go.
Right. Yes. So yeah, the program completion letter really just dependent on how long you specifically take to complete the program, and your letter will reflect your personal start date and your actual end date. I will say that if you are planning to be enrolled full time to complete all 15 courses, just because of the way scheduling is, it's unlikely you'll stretch the program out to 2 full years to be whilst being continuously enrolled full time. So realistically, if you are planning to be enrolled full time all the way through, you're likely looking at about 16, 17 months. But again, if you might want to take 1 course for 1 term, 2 courses for 1 term, you might be able to stretch that out to 2 years. So that's really up to you.
Okay. All right. I guess that is it. So we can wrap it up for today. It's been an hour already. Thank you again, both to Celine and Julian, for being here. Hopefully we can do maybe another one in the upcoming months for your next intake maybe. And I'd like to thank everyone for attending our webinar today, and we'll see you with our upcoming webinars in the coming weeks. We'll have another webinar, I think it's on July 7th with Languages Canada. So we'll inform you about that from our social media channels as well. So please keep following us and tune into our webinars to learn more about education in Canada and studying in Canada and eventually immigrating to Canada. All right. I wish you a great day and the rest of the week, and hopefully I'll see you again next time.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.